I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm gonna get you high today. Because it's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got shit to do. I don't smoke weed. But I do have a job, but I don't work all the time. But I do got something to do. And that is, of course, give you guys some awesome reviews. So as you know, as I mentioned, it is Friday. So as you know, MARIGOLD just had the recent show. We continue with more with day 6 in the Winter Wonderful Fight. This one features 3 championship match: the Superfly title, the Twin Star Tag Team titles, and the World title. So that's a very interesting to, of course, review. And of course, TNA has the recent pay-per-view Final Resolution. This is their final show of 2024. But the real question is, in all the championship matches we have, will we see title exchanges? Well, that is a very good question. And then we move on with AEW Rampage featuring various matches. Toni Storm makes a return to deal with Harley Cameron. We have, of course, Konosuke Takeshita and Lance Archer teaming up to take on former member of the family, Powerhouse Hobbs, and former Aussie Open member, Mark Davis. So that's going to be a very interesting match. And then we're going to see who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. Then we kept up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been going on in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do more real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. I believe it's time to take off. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this one is from MARIGOLD. Okay, MARIGOLD, day 6 of Winter Wonderful Fight. This is their much recent show that took place in Shinkiba. Now, let's begin with our first match. Our first match is a 3-way match. We have Yuki Minami versus Komomo Minami versus Rhea Seto. It's interesting that some of the wrestlers who are still like the juniors are wrestling here. So that kind of sets it up. We know that, of course, Komomo and Yuki have faced off each other, but now that Rhea Seto is in the mix, you ask yourselves, how will this play out? Well, I have to say, I was impressed by a submission move that Rhea Seto used on a Yuki that allowed her to pick up a win. I mean, she looks more like a submission expert, but I have to say it was very impressive on her part. So she picked up the win on this. Our next match is tag team action. We have Mitsa Matsui and Bozilla taking on Hummingbird and now Ishikawa. Now, of course, when it comes to Bozilla, she is the most strongest, tall, bigger individual. It's not easy to take her out unless you are Suri, who was able to put her down during her championship match, which was obvious, of course. However, it was, of course, Bozilla with a power bomb, sit down power bomb on Hummingbird that allowed her to pick up the win. Our next match is a 6-woman tag team match. We have now Yamada, Chika Goto, and Miku Anu taking on Victoria Yuzuki, Kyuki Omori, and Utami Ayashida. So if you guys notice, there is a prelim match that will lead to, of course, January 3rd. That is Chika Goto and Kyuki Omori. Now, as you all know, Kyuki Omori is the current and inaugural GHC Women's Champion. So Chika Goto is the first opponent, the first challenger to challenge for this belt. So that kind of prelims to that. And everything else, not so much. But, however, it was in fact Victoria Yuzuki who continued to show the world why she'll be the future ace of MARIGOLD when she put Yamada in a suplex position and boom, 1, 2, 3, it was done. But however, in post-match, we did see, of course, a bit of the, how do I say, they're getting in each other's faces, slap faces between both Chikagoto and Kyuki. So that kind of explains it a bit. But we'll get to that at some point when that match appears. Now, our next match, we have the MARIGOLD Superfly Championship. Natsumi Shizuki defends her belt against Myla Grace. Now, those who remember, during this tour, Myla Grace was able to pick up a win, and of course, she issued a challenge for this belt. And of course, it was going to happen one way or the other, which was no surprise. But of course, Shizuki has done an excellent job as our first inaugural champion, but the real question is, could she retain it? Well, she did when she pinned Myla Grace, and that's pretty much it. However, during the post-match, Victoria Yuzuki comes out because she has unfinished business with Shizuki. Now, those who don't know this, Victoria Yuzuki and, of course, and Shizuki were in the match for the title, but the match ended in a time limit draw, a match they cannot let go. So basically, most likely we will see this match take place possibly on January 3rd. So we'll get to that at some point. Now, our next match is the MARIGOLD Twin Star Championship, which is the tag belt. Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki issued the challenge when they defeated, of course, the tag champions in a trios match, and this allowed them for the opportunity. But however, throughout the entirety of this match could have won between Mirai and Mai Sakurai if it wasn't for Bozilla for interfering. But however, a little interesting problem to place. Nagisa Nozaki kind of messed up. She was intending to whack Mai Sakurai with the chair, and she hit Bozilla. Oopsie! I don't know what she was thinking. But of course, it did not stop because it was Nagisa Nozaki who picked up the win with the Lance Nori onto Sakurai, and presto, our brand new Twin Star Tag Team Champions. However, during the post-match, it seems Bozilla's pissed. So, well, that was her fault. I mean, she should have known that something like this was going to happen. But she said she's bringing a mystery partner. We don't know who it is. I mean, it could be someone from Germany, as far as I know, but we'll see. It's kind of interesting to see that. But now for our main event is the MARIGOLD World Championship. We have Nanae Takahashi versus Suri. I thought this match was pretty good, and it seems like everybody were cheering for Nanae Takahashi. Now, many of you may ask why. Simple. Suri is not a full-time member of the MARIGOLD roster. She's an outsider. And of course, Sari had her opinions towards Marigold about their very first training session in the beach, and she even questioned why did nobody went for the world title, which was of course a valid point. I mean, she wasn't wrong, but there was a moment, and someone pointed this out. Uh, there was a moment where Sari bite off the arm of Nana Takahashi, and someone said she spent way too much time with Natsupo. Yeah, if you guys remember, Natsupo is a biter, so it would explain things. So I mean, yeah, I mean they're best friends. Come on, I mean I wouldn't blame her for that. But unfortunately, this match ended with a sleeper hold by Suri to Nanane, and of course, the ref made the decision to end it right there. However, during the promo, of course, Suri has one thing in mind, her next challenger, and she's not an idiot. She knows who that next challenger is, and many of you may know who that is too. Our very first winner in the Dream Star Grand Prix, and that is, of course, Utami Ayashida, our very first winner. So that's going to happen. But however, Suri did mention that she doesn't think that she earns the right to become the ace due to the fact that she did not fight for it. But of course, she thinks that she'll become the ace by 2026. That's what she obviously thinks. But we will see what happens until then. However, Nana Takahashi made a very surprising announcement during the post match that in the second year anniversary of Marigold's very first show, um, she'll be retiring. So this is a very surprising news. I mean, this is going to happen around almost the same time as Meiko Satomura. I mean, we already had Arisa Nakajima, then Meiko Satomura, and now Nanane Takahashi. So that's going to be interesting to see. So we'll see what happens until then. So we still got plenty of time with Marigold until January 3rd, and from here on out, we'll see what happens. But right now, let's end things here and move on with TNA Final Resolution. Okay, TNA Final Resolution, the last pay per view of 2024. So let's begin with the countdown. We only have two matches involving on this one. The first match we have Leon Slater versus JDC. Now, this match, of course, happened during a match where, of course, JDC wants to prove a point to Leon Slater. But however, you would have thought because Leon Slater is so amazing, so essential, he would walk out as the victor. But however, the kind of slime ball that, of course, JDC is, he pinned by rolling up Slater, but used the ropes for leverage. I'm sure Leon Slater is not going to let that go, but I hope that moron gets what he had coming. Now, Gia Miller gave a medical update about what's going on. Apparently, Hammerstone got injured. He was supposed to be in a three-way tag teaming up with Jake Something to take on the Rascals versus PCO and Sami Callihan. So, however, Jake Something doesn't think that he needs a new partner, so he's going to go by himself. So, it'll be like I don't know what you call it, but it's interesting. Now, our next match, we have Frankie Kazarian versus Jonathan Gresham. Now, remember, Kazarian whacked, of course, Gresham in the back of the head with that damn trophy that he carries proudly all the time. And, of course, you know the kind of individual Jonathan Gresham is. He is a technical expert. He knows exactly what type of holds. You would think that the only weapon that, of course, Frankie Kazarian would apply is the chicken wing. There were many times, of course, Jonathan Gresham tried to counter it by slipping, sliding, or whatever, trying to prevent it. But however, it was just proven too much, and just like that, he had no choice but to tap. So Frank Kazarian got away with it with that match. Now let's jump in with the main card of Final Resolution by TNA. Our first match is the X Division title, Kushida versus Moose. Now, Moose, as you know, ever since he won the title, apparently he said he has no interest in doing option C. He wants to make the X Division title more prestigious than he would have wanted. However, you would think Kushida almost could have won this match, but he didn't. Moose only needed a spear in order to do that, and he did that by, of course, pinning Kushida, and just like that, it was over, retaining the belt. Now, Gia Miller conducts an interview with AJ Francis. As you know, he feels confident enough that he's going to walk away as the winner of the main event, but we will just wait and see when that happens. Now, our next match is that one match we've probably been hearing: the Rascals versus Sami Callihan and PCO versus Jake something. So, I don't know what you call this match. I mean, it's interesting. However, of course, Jake something was the most likely individual that he will eat the pin because he was by himself. I mean, he refused to have a tag partner. He thinks that he can handle things on his own, but it looks more that might bite him in the ass one day because it was the Rascals who put him away by Trey Miguel when they did that combination move. And just like that, when it was over, we did see a mutual respect between the Rascals, PCO, and Sami Callihan. And once again, the mysterious 23 appeared. We don't know what's going on. Of course, Sammy and PCO were accusing the Rascals, thinking, were you guys involved in this? And they said, no, we had nothing to do with it. We don't know what's going on. I mean, it's becoming clear that something is happening. So we'll see where that leads. Now, before his match for a number one contendership, Steve Maclin was having a bit of a pep talk with Eric Young. Eric Young, as you know, has been very supportive of Steve Maclin, saying that he is the future, that this is his time now. But he did state that he will be in ringside to ensure no shenanigans from the Northern Armory. As you know, they will do anything to protect Josh Alexander to become the TNA World Titles champion. So we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have Trent Seven versus Ace Austin. Now, this happened during a six-man tag match where Trent Seven got away with it with Ace Austin, and he gets a bit of a revenge. But however, this match was so intense because you would think that Trent Seven will have every arsenal in his tool to put away Ace Austin. Ace Austin refuses to stay down, but it only took a fold to, of course, take Trent Seven out, and just like that, he wins the match. Excuse me. Now, our next match, we have Rosemary versus Jordynne Grace. Now, for a while, we have been seeing Rosemary kind of I don't know if you call it stalking, but kind of observing what's been going on with Jordynne Grace. Rosemary has her fixation. Now, this match ended with a mysterious masked person showed up, and we don't know what was going on. And just like that, Jordynne Grace was taken out, and then it revealed to be Tessa Blanchard. Nobody knew this was going to happen. Now, according to Tom, there were rumors circulating about that, but of course, when Tessa was leaving, Gia Miller wanted to know what was going on. It appears now that Tessa Blanchard has some unfinished business, so we don't know what that meant. Now, the last time we knew about her, we all know she got fired from TNA because she did not did the obligation she did. Remember, she was the TNA World Champion, not the Knockouts World Champion, but the TNA World Champion. I don't know if that's the case about what she's trying to do, but we will see what happens. Now, our next match is the number one contendership for the TNA World Championship at Genesis in 2025. We have Mike Santana versus Josh Alexander versus Steve Maclin versus Joe Hendry. Now, of course, Mike Santana is returning to TNA. He has his own aim for the title. Josh Alexander does that too. So is Steve Maclin and Joe Hendry. Now, however, we know that Eric Young was watching, but luckily we did not see the Northern Armory making their place. But however, Alexander decided to zip tie Santana in one of the metal arm bars or whatever railings, but I thought he was going to do that to Steve Maclin, but it did not. However, it was Joe Hendry that walked away as the victor when he applied the standing ovation on Josh Alexander. So just like that, it was over. I mean, I don't know what Josh Alexander had his initial plan, but it might have backfired on him one way or the other. Now, our next match is for the TNA Knockouts World Championship in a false count anywhere match. Tasha Steelz versus Masha Slamovich. Now, before the match ever started, the director of Authority Santino Marella decided to lay down the law and decided to banish um, Alicia Edwards out of the building. So, however, because this isn't a false count anywhere, he wants a clean match. Well, it's not exactly clean, but in his own perspective way, there were security guards everywhere. Of course, there were going to be a lot of hurt and pain coming up. Even the security guards were there, got their butts kicked, you know, out of nowhere. But however, it took only a small package pile driver by Masha in order to retain the belt. So just like that, it was over. Our next match is the TNA World Tag Team titles in a tables match. The system with the most professional doofus, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, taking on the Hardys. So, of course, this is possibly in the Hardys' specialty. We know they've been involved in tables before, so because of the TLC matches we've seen in the past. However, in fact, they had to put two people behind the tables in one way to win. However, the person who actually picked up the win was Jeff Hardy when he applied a Swanton Bomb on Myers, and just like that, they retained the belts. Now, our main event, we have, of course, AJ Francis versus Nick Bennett, but however, Frankie Kazarian is there. Now, it's no secret that he's there because he is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner person, so he could cash in his opportunity for the TNA World title. So that's possibly what he's doing. But however, of course, there were moments where, of course, Casey gets involved. Of course, the referee didn't see it, but Casey apparently got caught, and then you're out of there. So he got ejected. So how would this affect AJ Francis? Well, it kind of did not do anything good for him, but however, it was enough for Nick Bennett to apply a danger zone onto him, and just like that, to retain the belt. But however, First Class decided to retaliate for what just happened. But however, say his name and he appears. Boom. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yep, he showed up. As you know, he is the #1 contender. So things could be complicated for Frankie Kazarian, but however, this is not the first time that Nick Bennett and Joe Hendry went toe to toe. So we will see what happens down the line between those two. But for now, we'll end things here with TNA and move on with our next review, and that is, of course, AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. We opened up with Brian Keith, the Bad Apple, versus Always Ready, Matt Cardona. Now remember, this is a bit of a warm up for Matt Cardona before he meets Chris Jericho the following week at Final Battle. So that is something we will pay attention. So the real question is, how will this be the momentum? But of course, Chris Jericho is watching. It wouldn't be surprising that he would get involved, but he did not. But luckily, it was, of course, Matt Cardona that walked away with the victory when he applied radio silence, sending a direct message to Chris Jericho. But however, Tony Schiavone has been observant and realizing, could this put Chris Jericho at ease? Could his Nueve championship reign could fall to pieces? Well, we'll just have to see until we get to Final Battle. Now, our next match, we have Rockstar Toni Storm taking on Harley Quinn. Of course, the match was pretty interesting, but what was interesting is where Harley Cameron does the, like, we'll be back in a short break until this idiot find out who she is. I thought it was a genius way to jump into the commercials. I thought it was great. I don't know if you guys catch that. I thought, wow, fantastic. But however, Toni Storm, there was a moment she was about to do the timeless stuff, in it, but it did. But apparently, it just went back to Rockstar. But of course, Toni Storm walked away with the win when she applied Storm Zero, and boom, just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have Deonna Puzzarro versus Shazza McKenzie. Well, I don't know what this match leads, but I can tell you that this match ended with Deonna applying the Fujiwara armbar, allowing her to pick up the win. Now, we did see Alex Marvez conducting an interview with Chris Statlander. As you know, the obvious question is, what's next for her after losing to Mercedes Moné? Of course, Moné and Chris have been saying that this was the best match they ever been at, at Full Gear, but the real question is where she goes. She said that she's going to observe the match involving the TBS title between Anna Jay and Mercedes Moné, so she'll stay close to that. Now, in the ring, Tony Schiavone, as you know, he dislikes this person, Don Callis, and the family making the ring. Of course, Don Callis was making all about Kevin Fletcher, as you know, defeating Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada. But however, Lance Archer and Konosuke Takeshita has to deal with Powerhouse Hobbs and Mark Davis. But I thought this match was a pretty good one, where we're seeing now Powerhouse Hobbs, as you know, a strong individual, was able to defeat Archer with the spinebuster, and just like that. But however, Takeshita was trying to send his own brand of message. Well, he got spinebuster too. So it appears now Takeshita will be facing, of course, defending the international title against him. That is something we'll probably will see down the line. But until then, we'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, let's end things here with AEW Rampage and move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have the Cuckoo, Wendy Chu, taking on Danny Palmer. Now, of course, we haven't seen Wendy Chu for quite some time. The last time we saw her, she was in the match against Tatum Paxley, where she lost. But however, she faced against Danny Palmer. Now, of course, Danny Palmer has to rely on her speed and possibly her agility. But however, that was not the case in this match with her, because she ended up in a sleeper hold by Wendy Chu, and just like that, it was over. Now, it's been a while since we've seen Ora Mensa, so Sarah interviews him, talks about the main event featuring him against Nico Vance, so he knows exactly what he's getting himself to. But he's not an idiot. He knows that Brooks Jensen and Sean Spears will be there to support him, but he's also noticing there's a chance they could get involved. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Danny Palmer, as you know, she had, ever since her return, she has not picked up any good wins. She doesn't know what to do. She feels a bit frustrated, but she feels like she needs to do something, like something has to change. She doesn't know what, but I'm sure she'll figure that out. Now, our main event, Ora Mensa versus Nico Vance. I thought this match was a brutal one. I mean, we did see Nico Vance, in fact, he got busted open. So I don't know exactly where they're going with Nico Vance, but he picked up the victory when he applied a flying headbutt. Now, I know some people will talk about that for a while about it. We know how it could cause a problem, but we'll see where that leads us with them. But for now, we'll end things here now with NXT Level Up and move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So as you know, we will start with upcoming events with the promotions. The only one we have so far that is on this thing is MARIGOLD's upcoming event, first stream that will happen on the 3rd of January. So we already got the full card here for this particular match. Now, we have, of course, the rookie Seri Yamaoka taking on Mirai. So that's going to be a lot interesting to see. Then we have the Rumble match featuring other wrestlers from other promotions. That's something that we're definitely going to look into. We do have, of course, the Twin Star Championship match. Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki will defend their belts for the first time against Bozilla and a mystery partner, so we don't know who that will be. Then we have the rematch for the Superfly Championship between Natsumi Shozuki versus Victoria Yuzuki. Now remember, that match ended in a time limit draw. Then we have the GHC Women's Championship. Kyoki Omari makes her first defense against her friend and tag partner Chika Goto. And then we have the white belt, the United National Championship. Miku Anu defends the belt against Mai Sakurai. Now, some people have speculated that would this be the possibility that Mai Sakurai will finally have a singles run? I mean, that is the possibility, but we will see. Now, our main event is the MARIGOLD World Championship. Sari defends her belt against Utami Ishida, who is determined to prove that she will be the ace of MARIGOLD. But of course, Sari doesn't think that she's ready for that. But we will see what happens. So that's pretty much the card. Anticipating. I can't wait to see this one. Now, moving on. As you probably heard during, of course, Final Resolution by TNA, AJ Styles was there present at the backstage, though he was not on TV. You know how that whole thing, they're not allowed to be on TV due to WWE rules? Well, that's what happened. So there was no talk about what plans he has there, just visiting, which is okay. I mean, I don't mind seeing that. Wrestling Observer reports that Ring of Honor have been getting many stations to have weekly ROH shows. We don't know when that's going to happen. There have been talks about that, so we will see where that goes. Now, in regards of Tessa Blanchard, many of you saw her. Now, those who know this or not, the last couple years, Tessa Blanchard has been not wrestling with any promotion, except that recently, for about the whole 2024, she's been wrestling with CML. And now CML has confirmed that she is no longer part of the promotion, and she, in fact, of course, vacated the tag belts. So basically, she's no part of the roster. So it would make absolute sense. Now, finally, the Wrestling Observer reports that WWE decided to shut down a match that was supposed to feature both Matt Cardona and his real life wife Chelsea Green to be part of a match against Joey Janela and Megan Bayne. A lot of fans said this would have been a good match, but Wrestling Observer reports this. There's also an idea of at one point that Cardona and Chelsea Green versus Joey Janela and Megan on that show, but W wouldn't go for it. Now I know some people will say F WWE. I mean, yeah, look, this would have been a fun match. I mean, there's now no doubt about it. But WWE with this whole thing, there's some parts they haven't changed. I mean, I can see people say, but they have changed. Well, what do you explain that? You know, how do you explain that? Nothing's changed. But that's how they operate. But for now, I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Collision. I haven't decided yet what other events I'll be reviewing, but we will see what happens. But for now, I'm just going to wing it, see how that goes. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.